Greetings, J Fusion fans. Bonne lecture. My name is Philip, and today we are going to talk about Tassel, a very important character in Kamen Rider Saber. Tassel initially serves as our narrator, especially in the earlier episodes, but later on he plays a more active role in the story. So, in order to talk about Tassel in more detail, I would like to place a spoiler alert because I will be mentioning plot heavy points in this story. I recommend that you catch up on the latest episodes, or if you haven't started watching the series yet, I highly suggest that you do it now and come back to this video when you're ready. Otherwise, please enjoy the video and let us begin. So, Tassel was once known as a man named Victor who was very curious about where mankind's knowledge came from. He has seen and heard about all the wonders of the world, and he was fascinated with knowledge itself. This curiosity leads him on a journey to find that said source of knowledge. Along the way, he meets other people who would become his friends, including the man who would be later known as the first Master Logos, and three men, Storius, Legiel, and Zuos, who would later become the Megiddo. However, there's also one key person that Tassel meets in his journey, a woman who finally gives him all the answers that he seeks. This woman gave him all the knowledge of the world in the form of a book. And this book would be known as the Book of Omnipotence. When Tassel opened the book, a new world came before him. This was Wonder World. We can see that Wonder World and the Book of Knowledge are one and the same, but do take note that the woman who gave Tassel the book is also an embodiment of the Book of Omnipotence, and therefore she, the book, and Wonder World are all one and the same. In his excitement, Tassel brought along his friends and introduced them to the Wonder World. In their journeys, they talked about how they can make the world a better place with all the knowledge that they can receive. However, upon doing so, tragedy struck. The three men who would become Megiddo forcefully took the book from Tassel, tore away some of its pages, and merged it with their own bodies, turning them into the monsters that we knew. In order to prevent more chaos, Master Logos and Tassel divided the book into two, and furthermore, the woman herself sacrificed her life in order to prevent the other pages of the book from being used into evil. And these books would later become the Wonder Ride books used by the Kamen Riders to fight. Tassel would later meet Yuri, the first swordsman, and we can assume that Tassel had created both the Kurayami and the Psycho in order to protect the world. He gave them both to Yuri, and eventually they would become friends as well. Yuri would often seek help from Tassel, especially during the time when Yuri chose to seal himself in inside the Sword of Psycho. And of course, later on, when Yuri asked that he want to have a more physical form in order to fight, he would come to Tassel again in order to retrieve the book called History of Kogoken Psycho. He does meet later Touma. So, in order to help Touma, the first thing he does was introduce a boy in his dreams. And this boy would be the embodiment of the Primitive Dragon Wonder Ride book, seeking help. And of course, Touma would later obtain the power of Elemental Dragon by overcoming the effects of the Primitive Dragon. Of course, Tassel would appear later with a message to Touma. So, going back to the history of the Wonder World and how Tassel gained his powers. So, upon gaining the Book of Omnipotence, Tassel gained power as well. However, it came at a huge cost. He would no longer be able to interact with the physical world. So he would later come to Touma in order to talk about him about this. Touma was at the time searching for Luna, who we know is the latest incarnation of the Book of Omnipotence. And Touma is given a choice to actually go and find Luna or not. However, there would be consequences. If Touma does not find Luna, they would never be able to fulfill their promise to each other, which is that they would meet again. And if Touma actually chooses to meet Luna, there would something would happen. So basically, what would happen to Touma is that he would become like Tassel. Despite gaining all the knowledge and the power of the Book of Omnipotence, Touma would basically vanish from this world and would never be able to interact with his friends the way he used to. So Touma was given such a tough decision. However, Touma makes his choice, and he would try to defy those two given choices by making a third one, which is basically doing both, but he would swear not to vanish from this world. Of course, impressed by his answer, Tassel would return to his abode inside the Wonder World in order to bring Luna to Touma. However, Luna was missing when he arrived, yet who he finds in that house is Storius waiting for him. At this point, Storius had already obtained the power of the Omniforce Wonder Ride book, which he took from the recent Master Logos. And in order to protect Luna, he distracts Storius, but Storius was powerful enough to destroy Tassel. So despite gaining such longevity and basically he obtained agelessness and we can say that he's immortal, he can still be killed by a being powerful enough to interact with his very essence. Despite his perceived immortality, a being powerful enough to destroy him, such as Storius, perhaps, can do that. Now, let's talk about the details of Tassel's character. What is interesting about Tassel is that even when he was first introduced, he was already such a memorable character simply because of his style, his fashion sense. And it can actually be attributed to his actor Lou Romanesque Toby, who basically dresses like that in real life. And if you would like to see him, I would put a link down in the description if you like to see his social media. And yes, the way he dresses as Tassel is very similar to how he would dress in real life sometimes. So yeah, that's interesting. And what is also interesting about Lou Romanesque Toby is that he is actually a writer. So he's not just an actor, but he's also written books, which, if you can tell, based on the themes of Kamen Rider Saber, the main protagonist Toma Kamiyama is a writer as well. So I do like the concept of Tassel, and there have been interesting moments when he was used as a red herring for villains. There were some moments that Tassel was shown to be acting suspicious. A good example would be during the return of Kamen Rider Caliber. So, Kamen Rider Caliber appeared to stop Toma from his rampage as the when using Primitive Dragon, and then suddenly we cut to Tassel's house where he was absent. So it would lead people to think that Tassel is actually the next Kamen Rider Caliber. However, this was debunked when it was revealed that it was actually Kento who basically came back from the void with the help of the Ankokuken Kureami. But in the end, Tassel was still very much an ally to Toma and the rest of the swordsmen. So, what do you think about Tassel? Please let me know in the comments. So, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JE Fusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next video. Bonne lecture!